Let me ask you a question. Have you ever sat through a really boring presentation? You probably have. I know I have. Let me ask you another question. Have you ever sat through a really boring online presentation? What do you typically do when there's a boring online presentation? You tend to turn off your camera or figure out how you can check your phone, check your email. You start working on other stuff, right? Maybe you try to skip ahead in the video. You do whatever you can to make it go by quicker. And here's the challenge. As a safety trainer, when you're using online videos and online content, it's gotta be good. It's gotta be good stuff. And so today we're gonna talk about how to do an online safety training and have your team participate in it and actually make it good. So let's check it out. All right, now there are three main ways to do an online safety training. So the training is going to be streaming through a video, right? If you can get your team into the normal conference room or the normal training room where you would do an in-person training, that's the best way, right? You schedule time, you say, hey, at 1 o'clock after lunch, we're going to get in there, we're going to have a safety meeting, it's going to be 30 minutes long. So you get the people in the room, and the first thing you do is you give an introduction. You kind of say, hey, this is what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're going to be talking about hazard communication. We want to make sure we're labeling our stuff correctly. Everyone knows where the safety data sheets are. I've got a quick message that I'm going to show you. You play the video. It's me streaming through. I try to make my online videos as interesting and interactive as possible. I want to make it feel like I'm in the room, even if I'm not in the room. Now, one way I do that is I don't make them an hour long. I try to make them about 15 to 20 minutes long max. So after you play that video, then you're going to come back and you're first off make sure everyone has signed the roster. So there should be a class roster to document the training. Then you're going to go over specifics that apply from the training content to your company. And what I mean is you're going to say, hey, this is where our safety data sheets are located. Here are some of the main chemicals we work with. Here are the protective equipment we use when we're working with those main chemicals. And here's what you do if we get a new chemical on premises. Here's how we get it in the book. Here's how we notify people about it. This way you're talking about stuff that's specific to your company after they've heard the hazard communication presentation. All right? So we got the roster, we got the presentation, we're giving specifics. Then we pass out the quiz. So the quiz is going to be printed out. You pass it out. This serves as a form of documentation to show that somebody understands what you've talked about. It's a great way to show that people actually are paying attention. And from there, you follow up with just any question. Does anybody have any questions? Now, if you do this right, you can knock this whole training out in about 25 minutes. And I'm being serious. This isn't pie in the sky. This is a realistic, good quality training in about 25 minutes. If you do that every month and build consistency, people know what to expect. Now, that's the first way, and in my opinion, that's the best way to do online training. A second way to do online training is if you have teams, maybe they're working remote, they've got their own computer, or they're working in different cubicles or different offices and they have their own computer. You can send the training to their specific email and then they can watch the training, they can print out the quiz, they can print out the roster, they can sign the roster. Some companies I work with will actually print off one roster and hang it up in a spot, and that way people can sign it as they watch the video, but they still have to print off and take the quiz and then scan that back. Now, the challenge with this is you don't have as much control over it, right? There's not quite as much accountability because people are watching the video on their own time. That's why the quiz and the roster and the follow-up are so important. The other thing that's key with this is because you don't have a chance to give them specific information after they've watched the training video, it's important to include that in either your own video or your own email with bulleted items like, hey guys, thanks so much for watching the training. here are some things that are specific to our company. And that way you're giving them the information you would give them during the in-person training that you would have held in the conference room. Now, the third way, and this is probably the least contact way, it still can work, but this is where people aren't using their personal computers. Maybe they don't have an office, but they're using their cell phone or they're using a tablet to stream the content. Now, the online videos, the portal is very friendly. People can stream the content straight to their phone. But again, the challenge here is capturing the name on a roster. And whether you do that by one hanging up on a clipboard or whether you have people pass it around at the beginning of the shift, they have to just document on a roster that they have signed it, that they have done it, that they have completed it. And then the follow-up to that is going to be the quiz that they take on their own time. So I still, even if you're doing it in terms of giving people access to it on their phones and tablets and you're just sending it to their emails and people are doing the training in this way, I would encourage have a spot where everyone gets together and goes through the information. That might be on an online meeting. It might be on a bulletin board where you're just explaining, hey, this is what we covered this month. So those are 3 ways that you can do good quality online training. The videos that I produce are streaming videos. If you're not a member today, please check out helpwithosha.com. It has a full list of different membership opportunities. It's an excellent way for small companies and large companies to train all their employees on important content. It's so much more than just a PowerPoint where I'm voicing over. This is a training presentation just like if I was there. I try to tell stories, I try to make it interactive, and I try to make it to where people walk away and they go, huh, that was better than I thought it would be. But again, I'm just doing the streaming videos. You're the one that's actually making sure the people understand what they watched. And so that follow-up, that hands-on is important. Now, once you get everything done, you should have a roster, you should have a quiz, and you should be able to put all this into a file, scan it in so that you have it, all your documentation taken care of. This is a great way to do a monthly training consistently. I would encourage set up to where you're doing this the same time of the month every month. It's very important to have consistency. If you don't do it every month, try to do it every other month or even every quarter. Obviously, this is going to depend on the size of your company, but online training is really where people are moving to. In person is fantastic. It's just we're all busy. My goal as a coach, as a trainer, as somebody that's trying to help you, I want you to be able to put on excellent online training so people aren't looking for that fast forward button so they can get back to checking their emails or checking Facebook or checking whatever they're checking. We want them to be engaged in the training. So if you say, look, this training is only going to be 25 minutes, give me your full attention. Oftentimes people will do that, especially if you make it actually interesting. So with that being said, until we talk again, do everything you can to keep people safe because no one should get hurt at work.